Hey guys, welcome to the Martin Racing channel. In today's video, we'll go over how to get the best deal that you can off of Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, wherever you're trying to buy a bike from. We actually got this bike so that I could ride it and that my kids could ride it. So what I did was I went on Facebook Marketplace and I looked for CRF110s, and this bike actually was listed at $1,500. And I was like, that's too much money. If you look at it, front fender's gone, back fender's gone. I know that's only like 60 bucks, but there were some other little things. I mean, you could tell it was wrecked. The front forks, they're kind of washed out. And so there's also, you know, definite signs of wear and tear all around the bike. And so I waited on it. And that bike sold. This one right here sold. And about 2 months later, I saw the bike and it was listed again. And whenever I saw it was listed, I was like, I want to go check this out. So I went and looked at it, and I was thinking that maybe all it needed was a front fender and a back fender. So I went and I go and check the bike out, and this is what I ended up seeing.
So right here you can see that the bolts, obviously they wrecked pretty good, and that's missing completely. Right here you can tell that we don't have chain adjusters. I saw this and I actually did a little bit of research before I got it from the guy that sold it, and he said that this had been repaired. So I checked it out and I was like, oh, I don't know. But I ended up looking and I saw that you could get this for 116 bucks. So I was thinking, well, that's not too bad. And so I looked at everything else. I knew that I was going to be replacing the front fork springs with a better set of springs. And more than likely I would need seals on anything. So I wasn't too worried about it. And plastics, I didn't really care, because once again, I'm planning on my kids riding this bike a good bit. And so if it falls, I don't want to have a brand new set of plastics on it, worried about, oh man, I just messed my new graphics up. So as far as what it looks like with plastics, I wasn't too concerned. But this was also ate up. Basically what had happened was this had been bent in a wreck, and it was causing it just to chew up that brake cable. But you notice I'm still missing bolts here. The shifter was good. Shift shaft didn't seem bent, anything like that, so I wasn't too worried about it. It was missing bolts down here, and it has a fancy quick release plastic setup. You notice I'm missing bolts here and here, and all of this was hanging loose. And so, I mean, the seat's not bolted on. It's kind of like I said, whoever had it, they used it well. And I ended up, the kid that I bought it from, he was a four-wheeler rider, and he didn't realize how much work it was going to be to get it together. So he ended up putting a brand new set of Maxxis tires on it, and he ended up buying a fresh set of plastics, but he bought it for the new version, the 19 to 24 version CRFs. And so I couldn't use that. But what I did end up doing was I ended up taking those plastics and trading to my good friend Tim out at the track that I ride at. And he ended up giving me a whole setup for an electric fence to do around the house. So it worked out really great. But what you're probably wondering is, well, how much did he get the bike for? Well, I ended up passing on the bike the day that I saw it, and I went and looked at it. The fella had told me, he said, well, I'll take $1,000 for it. And I was thinking, man, I'm gonna have to replace that right case. I'm gonna have to replace the plastics. The bolts are messed up. I really don't know what else is messed up, but I know I need full suspension, bars, and a little bit of other things. And so I was thinking, that's gonna cost a lot of money. And so I was thinking, well, that's gonna be around $1,500 by the time I get done doing all of that. I could just find a bike for 1,500 bucks. So I said a prayer about it, and I waited a little while and told him, well, I'll think about it. Well, as the time go, and time passed by, and about 3 weeks went by, and he ended up giving me shooting me a message on Facebook Marketplace, and he said, "Hey man, are you still interested in this bike?" And I said, "Sure, I'll check it out, but I would be interested in it for about half of what you were asking." And the kid said, "You make me that offer and you can come get it today." So I ended up getting this bike for about $500. I'm gonna end up taking the bike, building it up, and it's gonna be great for the kids and for myself to be able to play out on the track as well, and right around here at the house. So I'm gonna show you some of the things that we got for it already. And some of these were given to me by my friends, and some I had to buy. So let me show you what we got. So my good friend Kyle, he ended up giving me a whole set of plastics. And I actually had a set of goggles, and every time we ride, he says, "Hey man, I really need you to get sponsored by somebody because you keep throwing rocks. It's like baseballs hitting me in the face when we're riding out here." So I ended up having me a set of brand new Leatt goggles, and so I ended up taking them out there to him and gave those to him. And he was going to give me these plastics anyways, but that's a good guy, so I wanted to give those to him. And like I said, my good friend Tim, I had those extra set of plastics, and he had an electric fence that he hadn't used, and so since he wasn't using it at the time, he said, "Hey man, why don't you give me those plastics and I'll give you this?" And I was like, "Man, this is great. Friends are coming through to help me out every way they can." Well, a little bit more went along, and my good friend Josh, he had a set of chain adjusters because he just went to a BBR swing arm, and he actually had a full size throttle as well. So my friends came along through for me. I actually got another set of fork springs and dampening rods from Tim as well. So that all worked out great. So I really didn't have to put any money into the bike because they helped me out with everything, and it already had new tires. So other than oil and stuff like that, I was set. But I decided that I wanted to go ahead and fix it up a little bit more. So you'll notice I got a BBR extended, not BBR, a TB parts extended brake cable. And I went with the extended brake cable just because I am putting taller bars on, but this was tore up, and I think I could have got away with doing a regular one, but it's like the same cost, so there was no need not to use one. So I went along and got the bigger one. And then I got some more goodies in here. I'll show you what we got. Also got an extended shift lever from TB Parts. Set of fork seals. This is actually for Josh. He needed one for his bike, so I went ahead and got him one. And then we got a set of TB Parts handlebars, and they look great, feel great. They're gonna look really good on the bike. Excited to get these on here, make it feel a lot better whenever you're riding, a lot wider. I know my son's pumped up for those. First thing he said whenever he got on the bike, he was like, "Dad, we need a set of handlebars on here." And then I also went ahead and got, well, it's hard to see, but I got an extended rear brake for the bike as well. And so I'll show you what that looks like real quick. So we got an extended brake, and I'll show you what that looks like on the side of the bike compared to the factory one, in case you were wondering if you should get one. So we're going to try to install this soon, but you can see it's about 1 inch longer. And if you were wondering about the shift lever, I can show you what that looks like as well. So looking at the shift lever, if we put it here by the other one, you tell it's not a whole lot longer, but it's a little bit longer. Main reason for getting this is so that whenever you lay the bike over, this will bend and not bend your shift shaft. Stags Racing, they're gonna be sending me a shift shaft brace and a skid plate to run under here, so whenever we're running through the trails, I don't have to worry about this happening to the case ever again. Now this hasn't been leaking at all, so I'm trying to decide if I'm just going to sand this down and spray it back silver and just roll with it, or if I'm going to go ahead and buy a little right side case for it. But at this moment, as long as it's not leaking, I think I'm going to go ahead and just scuff that down, spray it, and it'll look just as good as new, and save that $116 and a gasket. All right, so I hope you like seeing the new bike. You can tell in the future videos I got a lot to do. It won't be too bad, but like I said, teamed up with Stags Racing, and I'm also going to be teaming up with Cop and Sting in the future, so you might get to see some new upgrades that you've been thinking about getting for yourself as well. So make sure to catch me on the next episode. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.